Today we're going to take a look at Chapter 8, Markup and Markdown. These are the performance objectives as listed in your textbook as well. We'll focus on markup based on cost, then we'll switch to markup based on selling price, and then we will go to markdowns, multiple operations, and perishable goods. So this chapter is all about the business math applications involved in the pricing of goods and services being sold to customers. So the cost of goods sold is the cost of merchandise sold during an operating period. It's one of our two major expense categories of a business. And the cost of goods sold means the total cost, which includes the price of an item plus anything else, the packing, the handling, insurance, shipping charges. Could also include utilities. Operating expenses are all of a business's expenses. So it's the cost of the merchandise, the cost to put it together, the cost to run the shop if there's a shop, water, gas, electric, that kind of thing. And then we've got markup, which you'll also hear it called margin, sometimes mark on, but usually margin. And it's the amount added to the cost of an item to cover the operating expenses and profit. So it's the difference between the cost of the item and the price that it's sold for. Determining an appropriate selling price is extremely important. Prices have to be something that potential customers are willing to pay, but it also has to cover all of your business expenses and leave the business with a profit to continue functioning and developing. The retailing equation is what we'll look at next. It can be expressed in dollar amounts or percents. It is the selling price equals the cost plus the markup. So what you see on this slide is different ways to manipulate this equation. So if you're looking for the selling price, it's cost plus markup. If you're looking for the markup, it's selling price minus cost. And if you're looking for cost, it's selling price minus markup. There's two ways to express markup, and it's markup based on cost. So the cost represents 100%, or markup based on selling price, which means the selling price represents 100%. So a tip here is that when you've got a problem that you're working on, underline the part that says based on, and then underline that the next words, because that denotes which element represents the 100%. Let's take a look at some practice problems. The first one is how to find the selling price. Lawn gnomes cost $6.80 per unit to produce. If a markup of $9.40 per unit is added to the cost, what's the selling price? So here we use selling price equals cost plus markup. So $6.80 plus $9.40, the selling price is $16.20. Next is finding the markup. So a box of golf balls sells for $28.50. If the distributor was paid $16.75 per box, what is the amount of markup? You simply subtract the two, and $11.75 was the markup. Now let's take a look at finding the cost. After a wholesaler adds a markup of $45 to a Blu-ray player, it is sold to a retail store for $180. So here we're going to find the cost by doing 180, subtract 45. The cost of the item is $135. So now in your guided notes, you've got a couple problems. You can pause the video and work through those problems and then come back and start the video up again. The answers to the your turn problems are in your textbook. They're actually on page 231. They're the example 1, 2, and 3 problems. So check your work with those. Let's move on to markup based on cost. Markup based on cost. So in your guided notes, you'll see a little breakdown of the different equations you can use here for the different situations. And market based on cost, remember, is when manufacturers or wholesalers, they use the cost as our base when cost figures are readily available. So we are going to look at some examples here. I think doing these is the easiest way to learn these. So a firm purchases monitors for $275.59. That's what they buy them for. The selling price is $449.99, and we want to know what's the markup. Okay, and then what is the markup based on cost? So we're trying to find two different things here. So the markup is what we just finished practicing. Sale price minus cost, which is $174.40. Then we need to figure out the percent markup. We're going to use the equation percent markup equals markup divided by cost. So the markup was $174.40. The cost of the item they gave us is $275.59. We do $174.40 divided by $275.59, and we get 63.3%. That's the markup based on cost. So right now I want you to pause the video and do the your turn on Blanco Industries. So the answer to the Blanco Industries problem is on page 232. It's example 4 of your textbook. So compare your work to that in the textbook and see how you did. Now we're going to take a look at calculating the selling price. A firm purchases pumps from a distributor for $35.40 each. If the firm adds a 120% markup based on cost, at what retail price should each pump be sold? So we are going to use the equation selling price equals cost times 100% plus the percent markup. So let's take a look at this. So this is the equation we're going to use. The cost is $35.40. The markup is here with 120%. Note that what we've done at this step is we've taken this from a percent, changed it to a decimal, and added it together to get the 2.2. When you multiply that, you get a selling price of $77.88. So go ahead and do the your turn, a wallet costs $50 to produce problem, and then come back and we'll continue on. Okay, so the answer to the your turn problem, a wallet costs $50 to produce, is on page 233. It's example 5 in your textbook. Now let's take a look at what is the cost of a printer that sells at retail for $1,750 with a 70% markup based on cost. So for this, we are going to use the equation cost equals the selling price divided by 100% plus the percent markup. I'm sorry, that's a little sloppy. But that's how we get the 1.7, so it's 100% plus the 70%, which is 170%, changed to a decimal is 1.7. So we get a cost of $1,029.41. So go ahead and solve the problem on your guided notes that starts with American Eagle sells a blouse for 66. And then we will come back. Okay, you can check your answer to the American Eagle problem on page 234, example 6 in your textbook. As always, if you have any questions, please send me an email.